Hi guys, this is Adam. This is my July 2020 houseplant tour slash slight garden tour. Most of my plants are on summer vacation. Um, as a disclaimer, I am a bachelor, so I am not known to be neat and tidy. So you will see quite a few great plants, but unfortunately the rest of the environment is rather messy. And with my friend here, we all know what this is. This is just to show the scale of some of my larger plants. Just by way of introduction, I've been growing for, indoor plants for about 10 years. I started under grow lights in an apartment in Philadelphia. Now I live in New Jersey. And last year I was actually a interior scaper, and I maintained interior plants for a job. So let's go on with it here. So this is the first plant, Instagram's favorite plant, Monstera deliciosa. As you can see, this is very big. This is a 4-foot diameter round table, and it totally takes up the whole thing. In fact, I can't get the whole plant in the frame of my phone at the moment, but if I just put a beer bottle here, you can tell that, yeah, that's a big guy. Okay, moving along. This is a money tree, Pachira aquatica. I got this maybe 4 years ago at a box store, cheap plant, less than $10, and grown quite a bit, at least 3 feet tall, I would say. The key to these is to grow them in shade, heavy shade. Oh, and another FYI, you'll see later my sunroom where these plants live in the winter. I don't heat it at night, so a lot of these plants actually get a few nights in the upper 40s, believe it or not. Okay, moving on. Okay, this is a self-heading philodendron. This is a cutting off of a much larger one that I got rid of. Don't like these plants, so if anybody wants it, drop me a line. Okay, this is a great plant. This is an Asplenium bird's nest fern. I've had it about 3 years. Last year I repotted it and it absolutely took off. You can see here, here's my bottle. That's my leaf. So probably 2.5 feet long and 6 feet wide, or maybe 8 inches wide. Here are my multiple aglaonema cuttings. There's a couple more, but this one here and this one here I'm quite proud of. These are sort of like antique varieties, and I was able to acquire them from colleagues, so that's cool. These are the commutatum type, so they get very, very tall. And back there we've got Silver Bay and several Marias, very easy plants. I will try to do a future video on them. Here is an air plant, Chlorophytum, aka spider plant. This was a cheap plant. I got it for about, I don't know, less than $10 quite a while ago. Made several cuttings. Right now the trailings are about, 3 feet long. But very easy plant. One of the you can't kill this type plants. Next we've got Schefflera actinophylla. This is the octopus tree. I guess it's not as popular as the arboricola, which is down below. I like this one a lot more. It's a very easy plant. Does well in low light. If you want something kind of tall, this is a good bet. Normally they sell them kind of bushy. This is probably one of the only plants where it's kind of a cheap, because I got this from where I used to work very cheaply because they wanted to get rid of it. You can even see that this was cut back at one point. I put it in a very small pot, but an impressive plant. They've fallen out of favor. You used to see them in like 70s TV shows in the airports. They had a lot of these. The next one, Dracaena lemon lime. Another highly recommended plant. Probably one of the easiest. It does very well in low light. Don't put it in too much light. A couple of years ago, I moved this into the yard by a reading area and it burnt, so it used to be substantially larger. Now it's about, I don't know how long these canes are. They're about 5 feet tall at this point, but it used to be a much bigger plant because it suckers at the bottom quite profusely when it's happy. Highly recommended to beginners. Just don't put it in high light. Here are some cuttings I took from it. This is a fun fact. When it burnt, I cut back some of the most burnt portions, and then I sliced up the stems and made cuttings. These cuttings are actually pretty old. They're 3 years old, and I read that when you don't take a tip cutting, they grow really slow. So if you like this plant, but you don't have space for a tall plant, maybe you can get some cuttings that aren't from the tip. They'd probably be thrown away anyway, and then you can eventually grow them out into this. See where this has formed a shoot off the side? Okay, here's another Aglaonema, the famous Prince of Siam. This is a big one. I got this cheaply a long time ago. It was very small from the Aldi discount supermarket. And I think it was $8 for a 6-inch pot, which at the time, about 4 or 5 years ago, was a good price. And now it's really very big, and I've taken quite a few cuttings off of this. The red-leaved varieties need more light than the green-leaved varieties. All right, the next guy here, kind of a showstopper. This is my Norfolk Island pine tree, aka Araucaria heterophylla. This tree is, I'm told, about 30 years old. My parents bought it when I was about 5. I've only been caring for it for about, well, only about, but probably about 9 years. When I first took over, it was maybe, I don't know, the tallest shoot was maybe 5 feet. Now it's from the bottom of the soil up at least 8 or 9 feet. It's very, very full. This is probably, for a common plant, the most underrated houseplant. It does very well in a cool area, and it also does very well in low light. This is the most light it gets all year, is in this heavily shaded portion of my deck. Over here, we have an old Christmas cactus. This was actually my mom's plant. I've been taking care of it for, yeah, same thing, about 9 years. It's very big. It doesn't look like much right now, but this blooms for me in generally early October or late September. You can see from the scale of the beer bottle there, it's a big guy. And this will just be totally covered in flowers when it's blooming. Okay, here is the Aglaonema Silver Bay. This is the commutatum type that gets kind of tall. Again, let's do the beer bottle. Let's do the beer bottle. So that's your beer bottle. That's the plant. I don't know really how big to say that is, but it's pretty big. And again, this was from Home Depot. It wasn't a small plant. I think by their standards, it was pretty expensive for, you know, it was like a 6-inch pot, and it was a tall plant, so it was about $20 or so. So for them, that's pretty expensive for a small pot. I got it about 5 years ago. I've done cuttings. It's done really well for me. Great plant. There's another Aglaonema. This one is called Maria. This is the first one I got. This originally was a box store plant. Bought it for, you know, less than $10, probably a 4-inch or a 6-inch pot. Now it is so big. I've also taken several cuttings off of this, but it's just massive and bushy. It's really kind of hard to tell unless you see it in person or if you see it in the house. But let's put the bottle in. So there's the bottle, there's the plant. Here's the top of the plant, obscures the bottle. There's the bottle there. So, great plant, love it. Maria. This one's pretty old. This is, you know, over 5 years old for sure. Peace lily. This is one of the first plants I got when I was starting out. This is a smaller leaved one. The large leaved one is called Manaloa. This is one of the first plants I ever tried to repot myself, and I almost killed it. This was about 10 years ago. almost killed it, but it's thriving today, and it blooms throughout the year. One thing about these guys is don't let them get dry. Don't let them get dry. If they wilt at all, you've got to leave a little water in their saucer. A lot of people kill these plants. A lot of people don't know how to grow them. Got to grow them wet, I'm telling you. All right, so down here we've got a nice little flowering maple that I got from Logie's in this spring, in May. So it hasn't flowered yet, but it's grown really fast. Down here we've got an ivy called Marengo, variegated. That's a really cool one, actually. That's an underrated plant. Here we've got our Ficus elastica. It's pretty old. This is a box store plant. It used to be a lot taller, but I took cuttings to kind of make it look a little fuller. Easy plant, highly recommended. I don't know how old this is. Probably 5-year range, 6-year range. Here we've got Dracaena marginata, like that other Dracaena I showed you. It used to be much larger. It used to be about 9 feet tall. Now this main stem is maybe 5 feet tall. But when I put it out, it got burnt, and so I had to cut it back to this point here. And this new stem has been pretty slow to grow out, but this summer, so that was 2 years that I had to cut it back. Last year it didn't grow so much. This year I'm trying to pump it up a little bit, and it's going well so far. Another really easy plant. And then down here, just as an aside, this is a polka dot plant that self-seeded itself probably about 5 years ago, and it's actually grown as a perennial ever since then. Pretty amazing, huh? Okay, here's a snake plant, not a big deal. Here's a little coffee tree. I saw them selling these at Trader Joe's last week. There's the bottle. I bought this as a very pathetic little seedling from where I used to work. It was, 3 inches tall or so. When these are young, you gotta give them shade. Not too much light. Not too much light. This is one of the cool pink Valentine type aglaonemas. This thing has been slow for me. I got it, I don't know, half a year ago. And it just, it's one of those things that came from the nursery. Slow, cut a lot of leaves off, so I think it's gotten better though. Here's the bottle, just for my own reference. So we're about 1 beer bottle. Okay, this is a great plant. This is a Neoregelia bromeliad. It has rebloomed recently. Here are the pups. It's really fun to propagate bromeliads from pups. I had a silver vase one going for several, like 3 or 4 generations, but unfortunately I ran out of room and had to toss them the 1 year. That's a Portulacaria afra. It's a jade plant. That's actually another little trick. It looks like a big plant, but I bought this. It was pretty big. I actually got this a couple months ago. Yeah, so that was a big plant when I got it. And here's a nice cutting, or a nice rooted pup from the bromelia that I showed you. And you can see the sort of the veination color a little bit better. It looks really good in person. I don't know if it shows up on the screen, but the Neoregelias are great plants. Here's another wonderful plant, very underrated, not as common as it should be. It's called Plectranthus. I believe this is the Mona lavender variety. This is related to Swedish ivy. It's in the mint family. It's a nice profuse bloomer, very cold tolerant. Gets nice and big and bushy. You can cut it up back, easy to take cuttings. A lot of the blooms have fallen off recently. It's going to bloom again later on this summer, but great plant. There's a asparagus fern. Now we're going more into the garden proper. Butterfly bush, stupid. Big old stupid hydrangea. Here's my big old Brugmansia. This is either 3 or 4 years old. I got it from a local nursery. It was pretty small. It's not time to bloom yet. Long story short, with these, yeah, pests are a big issue with these. Spider mites and white flies. Kind of a constant hassle with this, but it is a very, very tough plant. It's almost impossible to have it actually die on you. And I overwinter this. I cut it way back. Yeah, you can see where I cut it down about the year before, right there. Should be blooming soon. Tops are starting to break, so do an update later on. There's one of many fig trees. Many Chicago hardy figs. See the little fig there. Beautiful trees, hardy down to zone 4 apparently. I'm zone 7. They winter over great. Something's going on over there. Now we're going into the back parts of the garden. We've got some potted ginkgo bilobas. Very sunny out today, so I don't know how this is going to show up. So we'll just kind of speed right through. Fig tree. There's a crown of thorns. That has grown a lot. These guys really like to be under artificial light. That's where I have it in the winter. And it just grew. This is sort of like a dwarf, very thin variety. And this thing just went crazy under lights. That's a Brunsfelsia gigantea. I got it in May when I got that flowering maple. This thing has grown a lot since I got it from Logie's. 4-inch pot. Once it started growing, it's just been going crazy. This is an elephant tree, a Caroli, blah blah blah, Decarii. Not much to look at right now. I'll have to do an update on it sometime. This is a seed-grown Adenium obesum. That's about 3 years old. It's got a nice big caudex on it. I actually have never flowered these before, so pretty interesting. This is another great plant. This is a nice big Pachypodium. Pachypodium lameri. A lot of people have these, but I don't know, I think mine looks really good. I don't mean to brag, but I got it. I've seen sort of the $50 size that they sell at some of the nicer nurseries, and this one is just as tall, but it's definitely broader and healthier looking. And I got this last year. It's growing. This is a fast grower. It's really cool. Really cool plant. Here we've got a bunch of little cacti growing. These are some seed-grown Myrtillocactus geometrizans. Fig cuttings galore. We've got our little kumquat tree, or Ponderosa Wonder Lemon, which just flowered actually, and hopefully I get a fruit. I got this from Logie's last year. There's a nice big Ficus benjamina. I got this in the fall. It has done really well this summer. It's really starting to bush out. Here's some underutilized plants. These are calla lilies, the Xanthodeschia ethiopica. This one's called Swartberg Giant. I just got it this year, so it hasn't flowered yet. Here's another variety. It's sort of a mottled variegation. Nice white flowers. This flowers pretty easily when it's cooler out. I overwinter this inside. It's a great plant. And these are some of my favorite shady type plants. That's a Acanthus mollis. These aren't house plants, but just since I'm here. And here is some black cohosh, actually, these tall plants. So something for a shady spot that you want to grow tall. Nothing better than these. Okay. Some more cacti seedlings. Here is an Alocasia, or Colocasia elephania. This one is called Lowrider. I think it's a patented variety, I don't know. But this does really, really well. It can be grown as a houseplant all year round. Keep it moist, and really don't have to cut it back that much. That's what's nice about this one. It stays nice in this little compact pot. So the beer bottle, this is a pretty full plant. I got this at the same time I got the Brugmansia. So a few years old. It would get huge if I put it in a bigger pot, but I just want to keep it like this for now. Save space. Come around. Here we've got a miniature Colocasia elephant ear. This is called Illustrated. Shade's my little gnome friend. Great plant. This is called, again, Illustrated. This year it's just gone insane. Didn't fertilize it at all, actually. So, beer bottle, as you can see, it's in about a 12-inch little squat pot diameter. Great plant. Here's a fuchsia. I got this recently as well, so I didn't just get this huge plant myself. Here's a croton. This is one of the first plants I bought. I'm trying to give it more light this year. Another one of the easiest plants you can grow. This can be grown in very, very dark conditions and will live just fine once you establish it. Now we're going to go inside to the sunroom that I was telling you about. And right now, I counted before I came in, there are 31 plants in here. Here's a Phalaenopsis. This one blooms in the late spring for me. Just a nice white one. Here we've got Cacti Rehab with a giant Nodocactus Lemonhousii laying down there. We've got some other cacti. Can't really see because of the lighting, but Parodia Magnifica. This is about 3 years old. This is my favorite cactus, I think, the Parodia Magnifica. It's also known as the balloon cactus. And this one was also sold as Parodia Magnifica. I think it's not the same though. Here are some more cacti, mostly mammillarias. There's a Trichocereus over here. He's pretty big. He's pretty big. Here's one sort of Nodocactus. The rest are mammillarias. This is cool. This one is actually getting crested. If you know what I'm talking about, you can see how it's splitting at the top there. These are some Paphiopedilums out of bloom. Some more cacti. Some of those are seed grown. Many Phalaenopsis. I'm going to have to do a video on Phalaenopsis because they're one of the easiest and yet most misunderstood plants out there. There's an aloe. This is Rhombifolia allandanica, which is, I got these from cuttings. This is often sold as a tiarella, which is wrong. So just to clear that up for people. That is a cutting I took of my Prince Siam, Aglaonema. There's a Bowia. Here is some very long cuttings from a ZZ that I struck a couple months ago. This came off an absolutely gigantic ZZ plant. Biggest I've ever seen. It was in a BMW dealership. It was just an incredible plant. If you were to buy it, I would say a retail price on what that was would probably be about $500. That was how giant it was. Here's a Calathea that's relatively new. And I'm going to end the tour with this special Phalaenopsis I have. This guy's a biggin. You've seen a lot of big plants on this tour. For a phal, this is a big guy. Everbloomer. About 8 years old, I think. This was a gift. I believe it was purchased from a box store. Absolutely brilliant plant. When it blooms, I get about 30 blooms on it. Again, I'll do a video on phals sometime in the future. But yeah, this thing is gigantic. It weighs several pounds, I would say. And it's going to be blooming again soon. It bloomed February until May, and now we've got a new spike. And so we'll just do that. And then last plant, this is a Dieffenbachia. Dieffenbachia camouflage, cool plant. I got this a year ago or so for $40. Great variegation, huge plant. I love it. So that's all. If you have any questions, just leave them below and I'll try to get them to you. That's if anybody actually watches this video. Thanks. Bye.